Picture this. Iron jaws clamped around a woman's trembling face, rusted crimson claws biting into her flesh as blood seeps like tears from a fractured sky. Her voice was her crime, and silence her eternal grave. But this was only the beginning of history's grotesque symphony, a chorus of screams that would echo through centuries. If these shadows chill your soul, hit subscribe now. 80% miss history's bloody secrets. Drop a comment. Where are you watching from? Now, let us begin. In the fog-shrouded streets of 16th century Scotland, where cobblestones gleamed like polished bones under the moon's indifferent gaze, the Scold's Bridal emerged as a monstrous sentinel of patriarchal fury. Bessie Taillefer, a woman whose tongue had dared to lash against the mighty, found herself ensnared in its iron embrace in 1567 Edinburgh. The device, a cage of wrought iron encircling the head like a decayed crown, featured a brutal curb plate, 2 inches by 1, spiked and unforgiving, that pressed down upon the tongue, lacerating with every involuntary twitch. Her legacy was already ash before she drew her first breath of defiance. The Kirk sessions decreed her fate, parading her through the throng, a bell tinkling mockingly from the bridle like funeral chimes. The psychological insight lay in the bridle's insidious design. It fed on paranoia, transforming a woman's words into weapons turned inward, her mind a labyrinth of silenced rage where ambition to speak curdled into rotting despair. Vividly, the rusted crimson claws of the bridle pulsed with every heartbeat, the metal warming to her skin's fevered heat, a symbolic merger of flesh and forge. The haunting irony. She who built walls of gossip found herself imprisoned in a silence louder than screams, unaware her chains were forged by the very society she sought to pierce. But the cruelty had only just begun. As the crowd jeered, blood sprayed as the spike gouged deeper, her tongue splitting in a crimson spray that painted the ground in agony's abstract art, flesh-ripping torment in under 10 seconds of narrated hell. 90% don't know this bloody secret, but you're about to uncover it. The bridal wasn't mere punishment. It was a spectacle, women led by leashes like beasts, their mouths foaming with excess saliva, fatigue clawing at their jaws. In England's Walton-on-Thames, a 1633 bridal bore an inscription cursing women's idle tongues, its rusted crimson claws echoing through time. Legends whisper of Quaker preacher Dorothy Waugh in 1655 Carlisle, her bridal a tool of soul-crushing betrayal by non-Quaker authorities, her preaching silenced in blood-soaked madness. What happened next defies imagination. Parades turned to public beatings, whips cracking against exposed skin, gore infusing the air with metallic tang. Her tongue was a serpent, and iron its venomous cage. Silence bled from her lips like forgotten wine. These quotable shards cut deep, reminders of ambition's decay. Yet in this fast-paced descent, another gore-heavy shock erupted. Flesh tore as the bridle locked, bones grinding in muffled screams that haunted the square. The modern relevance? Her paranoia mirrors today's digital muzzles, where women's voices face online trolls and censorship, subjugation reborn in pixels. But the rusted crimson claws tightened further, drawing us into deeper abysses. Was her madness justified, or was she doomed from birth? Vote in the poll above. What would you do in her place? Comment below and hit that like button if this chills you. Silenced tongues bleed. From the shadowed vaults of medieval Germany and Austria, where empires crumbled like decaying gold under the weight of their own hypocrisy, the shrew's fiddle clawed its way into infamy, a grotesque evolution of the rusted crimson claws that gripped women's spirits. This fiddle-shaped torment, with its large neck hole and twin wrist restraints, locked a woman's head and arms in a humiliating posture, her face thrust forward like a beggar's plea, parading her through jeering crowds as punishment for boisterous dominance. In the 13th century, variations echoed across Denmark, Japan, and even ancient Rome's iron relics unearthed in Germany. Women like those in Plymouth Colony, marked for adultery, felt its bite extended to colonial shores. The psychological insight. Ambition twisted into delusion. The fiddle forcing a woman to confront her unruly self in a mirror of enforced submission. her mind fracturing under the stone-like weight of societal gaze. Sensory detail pulsed vividly. The rusted crimson claws of the fiddle chafed against sweat-slicked skin, every step rattling chains that whispered of broken dynasties. Irony haunted the scene. She who sought to command found her body a puppet. Chained in a dance of degradation, she unwittingly choreographed. But the cruelty had only just begun. As the parade snaked through mud-churned streets, whips lashed out, blood sprayed as bones cracked under frenzied strikes, a gore-heavy shock that drenched onlookers in crimson mist, flesh-ripping agony unfolding in mere seconds. 90% don't know this bloody secret, but you're about to uncover it. The fiddle wasn't solitary, it paired with public dunkings. Women plunged into icy rivers on ducking stools, their lungs burning as water invaded like a lover's betrayal. In 17th century England, the ducking stool, a chair on a pivoting beam, claimed lives, drowning witches and scolds alike, their bodies bloating in soul-crushing torment. Legends whisper of prostitutes and disorderly women, their screams muffled by waves, betrayal etched in every gasp. What happened next defies imagination. Survivors emerged gasping, only to face pricking, needles piercing flesh repeatedly, seeking witches' marks that bled not, paranoia fueling the inquisitors' madness. Her arms were wings clipped by iron's cruel embrace. Defiance drowned in rivers of patriarchal wrath. The fiddle sang a dirge of shattered wills. These lines carve into memory, blood-red metaphors of rotting ambition. Fast-paced action surged as another shock hit. Needles drove deep, flesh tearing in crimson sprays, screams painting walls in blood, while crowds bayed for more. The modern hook? This echoes today's body-shaming cultures, where women's autonomy faces digital dissection, subjugation's rusted crimson claws, reborn in social media trials. But the rusted crimson claws hungered for more intimate horrors, pulling us toward instruments that turned bodies into battlegrounds. Was his madness justified, or was he doomed from birth? Vote in the poll above. What would you do in her place? Comment below and hit that like button if this chills you. Claws of defiance shatter. Amid the crimson-soaked thrones of the Inquisition's dark opera, where Europe's dungeons reeked of fear and forged malice, the breast-ripper emerged as a fiend of flesh-tearing legend, its iron claws heated to searing glow for women accused of heresy, adultery, or self-induced abortion. From the late 13th to early 19th centuries, in realms like Bavaria and the Holy Roman Empire, this device, 4 spiked prongs curved like a spider's grasp, clamped onto the breast, ripping tissue in slow, deliberate pulls, leaving ragged wounds that festered like empire's betrayals. Saints like Agatha of Sicily in ancient Rome suffered similar torments, their breasts torn as martyrdom's cruel seal. Psychological insight. Delusion reigned, inquisitors projecting their own rotting ambitions onto women, whose bodies became canvases for misogyny's madness, mind shattering under anticipated agony. Sensory symbolism. The rusted crimson claws heated, pulsing with hellfire's heartbeat, the air thick with scorching flesh's acrid smoke. Irony decayed in gold. He who sought purity wrought the foulest stains. Unaware his tools chained him to history's gallery of monsters. But the cruelty had only just begun. As the ripper bit, blood sprayed in arterial arcs, bones splintering under torque, an extreme shock of flesh-ripping agony, crimson drenching the stone in seconds of narrated nightmare. 90% don't know this bloody secret, but you're about to uncover it. Often wall-mounted as the iron spider, the victim was yanked away, breasts shredding in gore-infused spectacle, screams echoing like betrayed dynasties fall. Legends whisper of unwed mothers in witch trials, their torment a warning etched in blood, betrayal by church and state. What happened next defies imagination. Survivors faced amputation, rhinotomy in Byzantine courts, noses sliced for adultery, faces mutilated in soul-crushing permanence, whips following to flay exposed backs. Breasts bloomed crimson under iron's savage kiss. Purity's price, flesh carved from the soul. These quotables drip with haunting authority. pacing quickened with another gore burst. Blades severed noses, blood cascading as screams tore the air, agony's symphony in flesh-tearing crescendo. Modern relevance. This mirrors modern gender-based violence, where women's bodies are policed in reproductive rights battles, rusted crimson claws lingering in laws and judgments. But deeper voids awaited, instruments that invaded the sacred. Was her punishment justified, or was misogyny the true monster? Vote in the poll above. What would you do in her place? Comment below and hit that like button if this chills you. Flesh blooms in ruin. In the labyrinthine courts of early modern Europe, where Asia's imperial shadows mingled with Western madness in tales of traded torments, the pear of anguish whispered its disputed horrors, a pear-shaped metal abomination inserted into mouths, rectums, or vaginas, then expanded via screw to split flesh from within. Allegedly from the 17th century, linked to French robbers and Dutch extortion, it targeted women accused of sodomy, adultery, or heresy. Bodies blooming inward in crimson-soaked madness, organs rupturing like fallen empires. Psychological delve, paranoia devoured, victims' minds crumbling in anticipation, ambition to survive rotting into delusional surrender. Symbolic detail, rusted crimson claws within the pear's segments, expanding with mechanical heartbeat, the creak of metal echoing soul's fracture. Irony, builders of justice's tools unaware they forged their own damnation, chained in history's blood-red gallery. But the cruelty had only just begun. Insertion complete, the screw turned. Flesh tore in internal sprays, muffled screams vibrating through metal, a shock of body-splitting agony in brief, devastating seconds. 90% don't know this bloody secret, but you're about to uncover it. Though evidence wanes, legends tie it to Inquisition's arsenal, women silenced eternally. What happened next defies imagination. Paired with marking, adulteresses branded with scarlet letters, whipped if concealed, betrayal's scar eternal. Bodies bloomed from within, pairs of poisoned fruit. Expansion of flesh, contraction of soul. Final gore, whips lashed, skin peeling in crimson ribbons, screams fading into wind. As the Crimson Archive closes, echoes of rusted iron claws fade to dust, yet their grip lingers. These punishments, from bridals to pears, reveal not just cruelty, but patriarchal terror etched in law. Women punished not for crimes, but existence. What price do we pay for power today, when echoes of such misogyny resound in global inequalities? Drop your thoughts below. Subscribe for more bloody truths, and ring the bell to never miss a whisper from the archive. Was the pear myth or monster? Vote in the poll above. What would you do in her place? Comment below and hit that like button if this chills you. Chains rust to dust.